It's good to be with you this afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you. I want to talk to you this afternoon about maximizing profits in the artificial intelligence age. And I want you to remember 5 words. 5 words. Purpose. Got that down? Purpose. Second one is leadership. Third one is direction. The fourth one is decision. And the fifth one is communication. 5 words that are required in order for you to maximize profits in the artificial intelligence age. Let me take you back to the year 1982. I was a young captain in the Air Force. I spent 4 years in the nuclear missile business sitting in a hole, so I was kind of a little off. But they sent me to Warner Robins. I lived across the street from the general's aide, Gordon. Gordon was a great guy. He and our family still communicate. He happened to be the pilot for the general. So whenever the general wasn't flying somewhere, Gordon was flying somewhere. I got reassigned to the Pentagon that year, and I needed a ride to Washington, D.C. He said, "Hey, I need some flying time. Let me take you." I said, I'm happy to ride. We got out that morning. It was early. The sky was blue. The air was clear. They call it CAVU, clear air, visibility unlimited. It was a beautiful day to fly. We got up. I was looking over the countryside. It was a rolling green countryside, blue sky up above. You know, they don't mark the state lines up there when you can't tell. You just keep going. But we were about halfway there, and all of a sudden we went into the clouds. I got up out of my seat. I went up to Gordon. He's flying. I went up to Gordon. I said, "Hey, we're getting in the clouds. We're going to crash, are we? This is a little bitty airplane." He said, "No, we're just fine. Don't worry about it. We're not going to crash." I said, "How do you know?" He said, "I got all these instruments up here." Oh, I went back down and sat down. About 2 minutes, I jumped back up and I said, "Hey, you're sure we're not going to crash?" He said, "Yeah, I'm sure." I said, "How do you know?" He said, "Because the purpose of this airplane is to fly you to Washington, D.C. I said, "Okay." And he said, "You got 2 good pilots sitting in the seat right here. And we know what field we're going to land on. We know what direction we're going. And more importantly, we've decided we're going to be there. So this airplane isn't going to crash. You can just sit down and relax." When I went, "Wow, they've communicated that pretty well," I went and sat down for about 2 minutes. I jumped up and I said, "Are you sure?" They said, "We're absolutely sure." We were in the clouds about 2 hours. I kept looking out the windows wondering, where are we? Gordon said, "Come up here." We were about 10 miles out, about to land at the military base in the D.C. area. And the clouds started easing up. And he said, "Watch this line right here." And this line was what they call a Texan, and it pointed straight in the direction that they were going. He said, "The base is over here. The Texan's leading us this way." I said, You're going to miss the base." He said, No, we're going to wiggle a little bit until we get straight in line." I said, "You're in the clouds. How can you see?" He said, "I'm going to follow that line." I said, "Wait a minute." He said, "Yeah, I've got real-time data. I know exactly where I am all the time, anytime. I've got real-time data in front of me, and I'm going to put this airplane right in front of that runway." I was holding my breath. Have you ever held your breath for 10 miles or 8 miles? You know, I was holding my breath, and guess what? About 2 miles out, clouds broke. There was the runway right in front of me. We hit it dead on. Boy, was I was a happy camper. I let my breath out then. I was going, "Wow." Gordon was going, "Did you ever doubt?" I went, "Yeah, I'm afraid I did." What we knew that day was he knew the purpose of us going, the direction we were going. He had the right leaders sitting in the seats. He communicated the message to me more than once, and he kept the decision tree straight in exactly where he was going. Purpose, leaders, direction, decision, and communication. You know, when I look at business today, I turn around and look at business and I'm going, maximizing profits, that's no big deal, right? Unfortunately, maximizing profits is not a purpose. It's a result. And all the goal settings are the same today, except that's not a direction. And what's worse is, because of artificial intelligence, we started out with traditional rules from industrial age, but now we're moving into the computers and data age, and the rules are shifting, and nobody tells anybody. Nobody knows it but you and me, because I just told you. You see, when the rules shift, we have to shift. And that's what businesses have to do. In the old days, data came up in terms of things like people and addresses and phone numbers and birthdays. And if you wanted the data, you hired an IT guy, and he learned how to search through all your data to give you back that. And then you hired somebody to go look at the data and tell you the information that data was supposed to supply you. And it worked out really well. Here's one problem. Enterprise Management 360 magazine, who happens to bring articles from all the great writers around the world, just told us that in 6 years, 6 short years, 2025, computers are going to be smart enough to analyze, think, and abstractly provide answers at the human adult level. Oh my gosh, what's my competition doing? What's my competition doing? That was the question that Jordan asked me when my son brought him to me about 18 months ago. Jordan was a young man in his middle 30s, maybe late 30s, couple of kids, wife excelled, he excelled, he was a smart, sharp guy in the middle of all this high-tech stuff. And he was one of the guys that helped put together all of the servers and the computers and the thing that made the internet work in websites, and I don't know what I'm talking about. But he did all that, okay? He knew what he was doing. And because he knew what he was doing, he could see artificial intelligence on the horizon. But he didn't know how to get a hold of it. He couldn't figure it out. He said, I can collect all kinds of data. I can get it from 4 corners of the earth. I don't know what to do with it. And I said, 5 words. 5 words. Purpose, leaders, direction, decisions, and communications. We started working that day. I said, how is your business going to enhance lives for the future? Not in terms of making money, but how are you going to enhance lives? What's your great purpose? He pulled together about 5 or 6 of his top guys, and he said, I don't know. I said, step number 1, figure it out. Took them about 3 months. They started out with one idea, canceled that idea, went to another idea, went to another. Finally, they decided that what they were going to do to enhance people's lives was to make sure that their products were on in every business-to-business supplier network that they could provide. And so that would enhance the lives. Great, super. Do you have the leaders to get you there? Out of the 7, 5 bought the idea. 2 said, we're not so sure. We kind of like what we're doing now. We don't want to reach for this different goal because it's going to get uncomfortable. We're going to have to do some other things different. 2, they had to change out. 1 changed successfully. The other one, they're still working on. Because as you know, you don't change somebody and get instant results, right? You've got to take a little time. But he changed them out, and he's changing that last one out right now. He went on to set priorities for making decisions. And they were in line with the way they wanted to complete their purpose. He went on to make sure that they communicated their desires at every level. He went on to make sure that we stayed in the direction that we needed to go. When I checked back with him last week, Jordan said, John, we're humming. But more importantly, I know what data I need to compete well in the artificial intelligence age. I'm going to maximize my profits. And what we know is competitors are going to try to do the same thing. They've got to have the 5 P's in place, and they've got to start now, because 6 years from now, computers are going to be doing a lot of that kind of work. It's good to visit with you today.